Think US corruption is just a few bad apples? Think again. Today, we're diving into the worm-infested barrel that is American power because for every so-called isolated incident, there's a whole bushel of jaw-dropping stories hiding just beneath the shiny surface. These aren't the outliers, these are the rules dressed up as exceptions. The scandals that quietly shape our daily lives while most of us are busy arguing over pineapple on pizza. Here are 10 jaw-dropping facts that will make you question everything about American power. From politicians stuffing gold into cereal boxes like cartoon villains, to banks inventing new ways to serve you with creative fraud, these stories are equal parts hilarious and horrifying. Strap in, because what you're about to hear isn't just outrageous, it's also disturbingly routine. So let's open the vault, pull back the curtain, and see what's really going on. If you thought American corruption was rare, these facts will make you realize the system is less broken and more custom-built for this kind of thing. Yes, you heard that right. Gold bars, cereal boxes, and a mayor. You can't make this stuff up. Imagine your local elected official, the person who should be safeguarding your community, instead playing a real-life game of hide the bullion in the breakfast aisle. This Michigan mayor didn't just accept bribes, he accepted them in the most cartoonishly suspicious way possible, as if he was auditioning for a reboot of DuckTales. Except instead of a vault, it's the pantry. Now just to be clear, bribery is bad. But bribery via cereal box? That's not just illegal, it's also weirdly creative. You have to wonder, did the mayor's accomplice just stroll through the grocery store, slipping gold bars between the Lucky Charms and Cocoa Puffs? Did they at least pick a cereal with a prize inside, or was the gold the prize? This isn't just about one greedy official. This is about the lengths to which people will go to hide their dirty deals, and how cartoonish our real-life corruption can get. When your city government is running like a bad sitcom plot, maybe it's time to check what's in your breakfast bowl. Of course, it's easy to laugh at the absurdity. But what does it say about our institutions when this kind of caper can even happen? If gold bars and cereal boxes is the tip of the iceberg, what's lurking underneath? So next time you pour yourself a bowl of cereal, just remember, some people are literally getting rich off your breakfast routine. And that's not just a flake of corruption, that's the whole box. If you want to be governor of Illinois, maybe just skip the campaign and go straight to prison. I mean, at this point, the odds are honestly better. 4 out of the last 7 Illinois governors have been convicted of corruption. That's not just a streak, that's a tradition. It's like the political version of passing the torch, only the torch comes with a court date and a jumpsuit. Let's run through this. You've got bribery, racketeering, fraud, and enough wiretaps to make the NSA jealous. Forget term limits. Illinois has cell block limits. It's almost like there's a secret handshake, except it's actually just fingerprinting for the mugshot. This revolving door isn't just embarrassing, it's expensive. Every scandal means millions wasted on trials, lost trust, and government paralysis. The real victims? The citizens, who keep ending up with leaders who treat public office like a get-rich-quick scheme. It's so common Illinoisans have jokes about it. Why doesn't the governor use email? Too easy to subpoena. But the punchline isn't funny when schools go underfunded and roads crumble because the money meant for them is rerouted to someone's retirement villa. So, if you're ever in Illinois and someone asks you to vote for governor, maybe just ask which prison they prefer. It'll save everyone a lot of time. Insider trading is illegal unless apparently you write the laws. Multiple U.S. lawmakers have legally traded stocks using insider information from confidential government briefings. That's right. The same people who punish Wall Street for insider trading are basically running their own Wall Street casino chips in hand. Here's how it works. A crisis looms. Sensitive information gets discussed in a closed-door session and voila, certain portfolios get magically rearranged just before the market tanks or soars. Regular Americans lose their 401k, but a lucky few in Congress suddenly have great instincts. Amazing how that happens, right? The best part, it's all technically legal. Because who sets the rules? Congress does. It's like letting foxes write the rules for henhouse security and then acting surprised when feathers start flying every year. New bills are introduced to close these loopholes, and every year, those bills get quietly buried by the very people who stand to benefit. If you can't trust lawmakers to govern themselves, maybe that's because, historically, you really shouldn't. So, next time you hear a politician talk about the free market, just ask, free for whom exactly? Kids' lives ruined, all for a judge's payday. That's justice? In Pennsylvania, a judge literally sold children's futures for profit, sentencing juveniles to for-profit detention centers in exchange for kickbacks. It's called Kids for Cash, and honestly, it's every bit as monstrous as it sounds. Imagine being a teenager, caught with a bit of weed or accused of a minor prank, and suddenly you're shipped off to a private prison because some adult wants a new boat. This wasn't just a handful of cases, it affected thousands of kids, many of whom received harsher sentences because it meant more money in the judge's pocket. The effects? Lifelong trauma, broken families, and a justice system that looks a lot more like a business than a courtroom. In the land of the free, your freedom can apparently be up for sale, if the price is right. When the scandal broke, people were outraged. But here's the kicker. The for-profit detention industry still exists, and judges still have enormous discretion. The lesson? Corruption isn't always about money. Sometimes it's about power, and the people who abuse it. So next time someone says think of the children, maybe check if there's a judge nearby with a suspiciously fancy yacht. When your bank is more creative with fraud than with customer service, you know there's a problem. Wells Fargo employees opened millions, millions, of fake accounts to meet aggressive sales quotas. That's not just a rogue employee or two, that's a business strategy with a criminal twist. Picture this, you walk into a bank, open a checking account, and later discover you've also opened a dozen credit cards, a mortgage you didn't want, and maybe even a secret vault in Switzerland, all without your knowledge. That's not customer service, that's identity theft with a name tag. And why did this happen? Because higher-ups set impossible goals, then pressured frontline workers to get creative. When creativity means fraud, maybe your business model needs a rethink. Of course, when the scheme was exposed, the company's leadership bravely blamed the employees and paid a fine. But for millions, the damage was done. Credit ruined, trust shattered, and another notch in America's belt of corporate malfeasance. So, next time your bank offers you a special deal, maybe check if it comes with a secret account on the side. In America, touchdowns pay better than textbooks. Some universities pay their football coaches more than they spend on entire academic departments combined. That's right. While professors hunt for grant money and students drown in debt, the guy with the whistle gets a salary big enough to buy a small island. Let's put this in context. The average English department? Struggling to replace a broken printer, the football coach, negotiating a contract with more zeros than a calculus textbook. If you want to study poetry, prepare for budget cuts. If you want to throw a ball really far, get ready for a mansion. This isn't just a quirk of campus life. It's a symptom of a country that values entertainment over education, spectacle over substance. When the academic mission is sidelined by a sports empire, who wins? Spoiler, it's not the students. And yet year after year, universities double down, building bigger stadiums, selling more jerseys, and treating coaches like royalty, while adjuncts qualify for food stamps. So next time you see a college sports headline, just remember, in America, knowledge is power. But touchdowns are cash. Conflict of interest? More like business as usual. Over 50% of Congress holds stocks in industries they regulate. That means lawmakers whose job is to keep big business honest are literally invested in those businesses' success. If you've ever wondered why some laws seem suspiciously friendly to corporations, well, now you know. Let's break it down. A senator sits on the healthcare committee and owns millions in pharma stocks. A representative oversees energy policy and just happens to own oil shares. It's like letting referees bet on their own games, only in this league, the fans are the ones getting fleeced. Sure, there are disclosure requirements, but those forms are about as transparent as mud. And when scandals break, Congress promises reform right before quietly watering it down. This isn't personal investing gone rogue, it's the system working exactly as designed. And while the rest of us worry about gas prices, some lawmakers are buying yachts with the profits. So the next time Congress grills a CEO, ask yourself, who's really being served? Donate to democracy, or, someone's vacation fund. Some political action committees or PACs legally spend less than 5% on actual campaign support. The rest goes to consultants, admin fees, and whatever else they can slip through the cracks. Let's be clear, when you give money to a PAC, you expect it to support your cause, not bankroll a consultant's third home in the Hamptons. But thanks to creative accounting, millions meant for democracy are funneled into luxury hotels, private jets, and strategic meetings in tropical resorts. How does this happen? Because campaign finance laws are so riddled with loopholes, you could drive a super PAC through them. The result? Political organizations that exist mostly to enrich their founders and friends, while doing next to nothing for the candidates or causes they claim to support. It's legal, it's widespread, And it's another example of how following the money in American politics often leads to a dead end, or a luxury spa. So next time you're asked to chip in for democracy, maybe ask for a receipt, and a room key. Turns out you can't pay the bills with pretty pebbles. A city in California declared bankruptcy after spending $300,000 on decorative rocks. Yes, while potholes multiplied and public services crumbled, city officials decided what the town really needed was fancy landscaping. Imagine the city council meeting. Should we fund the fire department? Nah, let's splurge on some rocks. Not just any rocks. These were special, imported, and apparently worth more than some people's homes. Who knew geology could be so expensive? The result? The city went bust, services were slashed, and the only thing left to show for it was a very expensive rock garden. Residents got to watch their tax dollars literally gather moss. This is what happens when public funds become a personal piggy bank. Bad priorities, no accountability, and a lingering sense that maybe, just maybe, someone should have said, "Let's not rock the boat." So, if you ever visit and trip over a decorative stone, just remember, you paid for that bruise. Apparently the spirit moves, on horseback, and on your dime. A US senator was caught using taxpayer funds for a spiritual horse retreat. That's right. While constituents struggled to make ends meet, their elected officials saddled up for self-discovery, all expenses paid by the public. Picture it. Instead of a town hall, it's horse yoga. Instead of policy discussions, it's equine bonding. And instead of accountability, it's an expense report with wellness as the line item. If you tried this at your job, you'd be laughed out of the office, or possibly escorted out by security. But in politics, self-care sometimes comes with a government credit card. The justification? It helps me serve the people better. Maybe, but only if the people are horses. This isn't just one senator's whim, it's a window into how public money can be misused, all under the banner of official business. And it's why trust in government is now an endangered species. So, if your senator suddenly develops an interest in horseback riding, maybe check the receipts. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. If you think corruption is rare, think again. These stories aren't just bizarre anecdotes. They're examples of how power and money and self-interest routinely warp the public trust. From cereal boxes full of gold to senators horsing around on your dime, the system isn't just flawed, it's practically begging for abuse. The real tragedy? Every dollar wasted, every law bent, and every life upended by corruption is a reminder that democracy only works when we demand better. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and remember, sunlight is the best disinfectant. The more we know, the harder it is for these stories to stay buried. So, if you want more eye-opening exposés, if you want to see just how deep the rabbit hole goes, like, share, and subscribe. Because the only thing worse than corruption is letting it hide in the shadows.